Think of your pension or your retirement savings quietly growing somewhere in the background of your life. A great deal of that money is invested not by a clever person choosing promising companies, but by a fund that simply, silently tracks a list. And that list is drawn up by a company whose name you have almost certainly never heard. That company is called MSCI, and this is a series about the companies that run the world. MSCI represents one of the strangest and most invisible forms of power there is. It does not manage money and it does not pick winners. It builds the indexes, the great master lists of stocks that trillions of dollars of investment automatically follow. In effect, it draws the map that an enormous share of the world's money is obliged to walk. To understand why this matters, you have to understand how much investing has changed. More and more money is now invested passively, which simply means buying everything in a given index in proportion and holding it. That money does not think or judge or choose. It just faithfully tracks the list. And the sums involved are almost beyond imagining. Many trillions of dollars are benchmarked against MSCI's indexes around the world, which means that whenever MSCI changes one of its lists, all of that money is compelled to move in order to match it. This gives the company an astonishing power over whole nations. When MSCI decides to add a country's stock market to one of its major indexes, funds all over the world must buy in, and billions of dollars can flow into that nation almost overnight. When it decides to remove one, the billions drain away just as fast. It is, in a sense, a vote that no one ever actually cast. A private firm's quiet, technical decision, whether a market counts as developed or emerging, whether it is truly investable, ends up directing the world's capital. There is no election behind it, and no democratic mandate of any kind. Consider the case of China. The question of whether and how much of its vast stock market should enter the global indexes has been one of the most consequential financial decisions of our era. And it was made not by governments or by voters, but by an index committee. The moat, once you see it, is formidable. Once the world's funds have all benchmarked themselves to MSCI, it quietly becomes the standard. Switching to a different benchmark is disruptive, confusing, and rare, so the incumbent index keeps its powerful grip for decades on end. It is not entirely alone, of course. In truth, it is an oligopoly of index makers. MSCI alongside FTSE Russell and S&P Dow Jones indices. Just a few firms, between them, draw nearly all of the maps that the world's money dutifully follows. And here is how the money is made. Every single fund that tracks an MSCI index pays MSCI a fee to do so year after year forever. It is a toll levied upon trillions, a tiny sliver of an enormous river of capital, collected simply for owning the list that everyone has agreed to follow. Because of that, the economics are extraordinary. MSCI makes almost nothing physical at all. It sells data, and it sells the right to use its names and its numbers. The profit margins on that are among the very highest of any kind of business anywhere in the world. There is a newer frontier too. MSCI has become a giant in the scoring of companies on environmental and social grounds, the ratings known as ESG. Those scores increasingly steer capital of their own, handing the company yet another quiet lever over where the world's money chooses to go. So we reach the question this series always asks, of what would break if MSCI vanished? The plumbing of passive investing would wobble, and funds would scramble to find new benchmarks. But more striking still, we would suddenly notice just how much unelected power over global capital had quietly been resting inside a single firm. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question. We have allowed a private company, one answerable to no voter anywhere, to quietly decide where trillions of the world's savings should flow. Is it truly right that the master map of global capital is drawn and redrawn by a firm that absolutely nobody ever chose? To be fair, and it genuinely deserves saying, somebody really does have to build consistent and trusted yardsticks for an impossibly chaotic global market. MSCI's indexes bring a real order and comparability, and they have made cheap, diversified investing genuinely possible for millions of ordinary savers. And that is the deeper lesson of this particular giant. The deepest power of all is not owning the assets, nor even moving the money. It is drawing the map that everyone else agrees to follow. Set the benchmark that the whole system measures itself against, and you quietly steer the entire system. So the next time you glance at a statement for your pension or your retirement fund, remember that your money is very likely just following a list. And remember that the quiet, unelected company that draws up that list may shape the flow of global capital more profoundly than almost anyone you could ever name.